Wargaming promised to buff several tier 8 premium tanks this year. And in today's video we are going to have a look at another batch of premium tanks getting their buffs in. And as you can see, only 2 are very interesting. 5 others are not that interesting, as it's just some pen buffs. But the 2 which are getting properly buffed, well, let's just jump right in. With the T-34 and the T-34-3. By the way, in general, if there is a black version or a skinned version or a skin version, they also receive the buff. So if you have forgotten anything, maybe it will also get buffed, just so you know. But yeah, the T-34 gets some well-needed love to its gun. Its accuracy during hull traverse and hull movement goes down from 0.28 to 0.25, and the accuracy during turret traverse, which is 0.22, goes down to 0.16. Now that is a very nice value. Added to that, the T-34 also gets 120 horsepower more, a better turret traverse speed and a better hull traverse speed as well. So definitely the tank is getting its fair share of buffs, which should definitely help perform better. I do enjoy the T-34 and I don't think the tank needs a pen buff or a DPM buff. That is just the playstyle of the tank. 400 alpha, great standard penetration, go get it girl. However, one final thing I would wish to see for the T-34 is maybe, and that's just a big fat maybe, a little bit better aim time. A slightly improved aim time would be absolutely perfect, added to the great accuracy buffs during turret traverse and hull movement. You know, instead of like 3.2 seconds, maybe like 3 seconds or something. A small aim time buff would be absolutely brilliant. Next up, it's the AMX Chasseur de Char, or the CDC. And this tank, a lot of people already asked to get some buffs because, you know, it's just simply out of meta for so long. It doesn't have good gun handling, its mobility is kind of meh, even though the engine is amazing because the terrain resistances are kind of meh and the top speeds. So yeah, Wargaming decided to give it better gun handling, and obviously that is very well needed. You can see gun dispersion during turret traverse goes from 0.16 to 0.12 and traverse and hull movement from 0.2 to 0.16. So yeah, this is definitely a nice little change, making the tank more accurate on the move. And added to that, we get 0.3 seconds quicker aim time. So that's a pretty decent buff. I still would wish to see some terrain resistance adjustments, or at least some more top speed, because 57 kph simply feels too slow when you have a 1200 horsepower engine. However, I do want to point out that obviously the CDC is one of the OG tanks, so well, and you could also in theory say, you know what, I might just boot the stabs to get the turbo, so I'm a little bit faster, but I think the stabs is just so important for this tank. Moving over, we go to the KV-5, and as you can see here, we get a little bit of base penetration buffs from 168mm to 169mm, 10mm more, making the tank a bit more competitive against same tiered opponents and some higher tiered opponents. So that is definitely not bad, especially if you should still remember that this tank has 290mm of APCR penetration and decent DPM. However, let's just real quickly look at the armor model of the KV-5 right here. And you see, oh yeah, it has this weak spot right here. You have the R2-D2 and this weak spot right here, and this weak spot right here, and this weak spot right here. Now that is a lot of weak spots, you know. Now, let's have a look at the Defender with its AP round and go into the live model. Obviously, the weak spots are weak. They can get penetrated almost all the time, and even lower tiered opponents should be able to penetrate that weak spot of the R2-D2. However, what is also rather green is this plate right here. The face of the turret. It's 190mm thick, and that is like my biggest issue with the KV-5. Yes, I do agree that there shouldn't be tanks without weak spots. Like, it's simply not the case. However, when a tank already has 4 different weak spots, 2 of which can always be hit, and 1 of which being super duper easy to hit, why exactly is the turret front also this weak? you know? It really takes away of the tank when a same tier tank can just go through your superstructure with standard ammunition. With freaking standard ammunition. That just feels wrong, it just feels bad, and it doesn't make fun to play. Because you always get screwed over by this. And yes, you can try to angle it, you know, but even if you try to angle it, you still have those spots right here which are 80% chance, 70% chance, 65% chance. Like, there's still so many chances to hit, and then obviously you have the big thingy-imagings. And if the defender tends to shoot APCR, well, welcome to Greenville, you know, where everything is green and you basically have no chance bouncing anything. The KV-5 is one of the rare cases where I think a little bit of armor buff in the front of the turret would go a long way. Maybe like, I don't know, 210 millimeters. Maybe it's too much. I don't know. But that would be like an epic buff for the KV-5, which would make it really nice. Especially if you still have the 4 other weak spots, 2 of which being huge, 1 of which being semi-huge, and 1 being smaller-ish. And lastly, we have the IS-6, IS-6B, the 112, the WZ-111, and the Alpine Tiger, and the T-34-3. All of which also get the 10mm more pen buff as the KV-5 did. Meaning that, well, it's nice. The thing is, I'm never going to be a fan of the IS-6, 112 or 111. That's just simply not my playstyle. They are too slow, too cumbersome, and have very, very annoying guns to use. They're very inaccurate, they are very, you know, bad when it comes to gun handling, where it's simply not my jam. The T-34-3 buff, however, is very nice. Like, it already got buffed, and I think it's a very decent medium lately, and it makes a lot of fun to play. And having a little bit more standard penetration is also a very, very nice change. Like, I don't know, makes the tank even better, let's be honest. Now's the question, do the Type 95, Type 59, excuse me, also get those buffs as well as some more pen buffs? Would be very cool for the Type 59, but it's also, it's basically the T-34-3, but with a smaller gun, you know? But we'll see. Anyway, that's everything I'm having for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I see you around, and cheers. Good luck on the battlefield.